And that, once a year, they dust him off and they put him at the podium of the United Nations, and he delivers more of the same mantras about international law, international community, and international conference. But in real life, throughout the year, he is completely marginalized, completely repressed by Israel, and completely ignored. They won't talk to him. They won't negotiate with him. They only expect him to work on their behalf and to do their dirty work in the occupied West Bank. He tried many times to escape, being some kind of a slave, a contrast between him and Hamas in order to demonize Hamas and to try to extract from him more concessions and perhaps condemnation of what Hamas has done.
From a military perspective, is there a solution? Is there a military solution to the Israel-Gaza conflict right now?
I'm glad you asked, because I've just written my piece today for Al Jazeera Online about this. And I honestly cannot see, I certainly haven't read anything that, rationally makes sense about the end game from this onslaught on Gaza and the idea of defeating or crushing Hamas and so on and so forth. Because now Emily, we have this, whole war being manufactured, just like, the war in Iraq was manufactured 20 years ago on the basis of false pretense, evil this and evil that, and Hamas, you cannot negotiate with it, and it's enemy of civilization, and it's like Al-Qaeda and ISIL, and beheads children, on all these false accusations in order to prepare for the land invasion. Some 100,000 Israeli soldiers are already deployed in the southern border. 350,000 Israeli reservists have been recalled to the military service. So Israel is basically, up and ready for an invasion. Now, every single analysis I've read says that in the next few weeks or months of this sort of invasion means tens of thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of casualties, mostly, of course, among the Palestinians, depending on how much of a heavy armament the Israelis are going to deploy in Gaza. So clearly, this is going to be a genocide, and clearly there is no end game, because if Israel is able to crush Hamas and occupy Gaza, then what? They're not going to be able to defeat the idea of Hamas. Hamas is even more popular in the West Bank than it is in Gaza. The idea of Hamas is, liberating Palestine and building a Palestinian state and having some sort of a justice and freedom for the Palestinians. That's not going to die if you occupy Gaza. And clearly, they're not going to, after so many Israeli deaths, hand it back to the Palestinian Authority and go back to the same cycle that we went through the past 30 years. And clearly, they're not ready to, feed and protect the 2 million people in Gaza indefinitely. So what exactly are they going to do? Why would they want to reoccupy Gaza? And then what? And what might happen in the West Bank? And the front is reopening in the northern part of Israel and South Lebanon. And already we have the bombing of 2 airports in Syria. So the war is clearly, slowly but surely widening beyond Gaza. Now we hear about incidents in the West Bank. I'm afraid that Israel is opening up the doors of hell, and it's taking along with it the United States.
Certainly no signs of anything abating. We appreciate your insights as always. Marwan Bashara, Al Jazeera senior political analyst. Thank you. Al Jazeera has interviewed the deputy leader of Hamas, Salah al-Aruri, addressed the killing of Israeli civilians. He described scenes of chaos after Hamas fighters broke through the border fence into Israel on Saturday and said security forces were mixed in with civilians within the settlements.
We are fighting within our ideology, within our policies. We do not target civilians, we do not kill children or women, we do not rape. However, this is an all-out armed conflict. It is very probable that many casualties will fall as collateral damage. In return, the Israeli occupation forces are indiscriminately bombing Gazans, innocent civilians. Our operation is well planned, well organized, and our fighters are closely following the orders. We have clear instructions. No attacks on civilians. We are targeting military bases and military posts within the Gaza envelope. At the same time, we have directed a preemptive strike. Therefore, we, by this preemptive strike, caused a great deal of chaos among the Israelis. We started by attacking Gaza division in Re'im and started branching out to other military bases. We also instructed our fighters to get control of some kibbutzim in order to prevent any reinforcements being sent to Israeli occupation forces. Israeli troops, who are well versed in killing innocent people, those troops failed to stand up to us. Within a very short span of time, 3 to 4 hours, we had total control of the military base. We managed to kill and capture many of them, and others ran for their lives. The Israeli occupation forces are perpetrating crimes against our citizens and innocent civilians. At the same time, the Israeli occupation forces are propagating malicious, false claims that we are killing women and children and raping women. These are baseless reports, false reports, propagated by Israeli occupation forces.
Al Jazeera also asked him if Hamas was prepared for a ground invasion from Israel. He said they have a defence plan and are prepared for all possible scenarios. And he called on Arabs and Muslims around the world to take to the streets and express solidarity. We are not fighting to annihilate our enemy. We're fighting for the world to recognise our people's right to freedom, liberation and a dignified life. He also said Hamas are demanding a humanitarian ceasefire and humanitarian corridor. We believe that the whole world cannot stand watching 2.5 million people being incinerated, slaughtered and not doing something to act. Israeli authorities, meanwhile, have told residents in the city of Sderot to evacuate. Out of concern, Hamas operatives may remain in the area. More than 1,300 Israelis were killed when Hamas attacked southern Israel on Saturday. Stephanie Decker has more from Ashdod, near the Gaza border.
It's very tense here. You have a massive amassment of military, of reservists, the biggest call-up in Israel's history, around 360,000. Very, very strong show of force. Incidents continue. There was a firefight between the Israeli army and Palestinian gunmen. In Kisufim, one Palestinian was killed. That was just a couple of hours ago. So it shows you that there is still the threat of infiltration. There are concerns that some of those Hamas fighters who infiltrated on Saturday remain at large. You can sense the real nervousness among the security forces. Search outgoing artillery that we've heard throughout the day here into Gaza. Also interceptions from the Iron Dome above our heads, even here at Ashkelon, at Ashdod. There was a hit in Sderot, 4 people injured there, 2 of them in critical condition. So it remains a very tense situation, certainly very much on edge here. But yes, a massive security presence and very much on edge because still the military also saying that they haven't completely gotten those areas under control.
Charles Stratford has been in Re'im in the Negev desert along the Gazan border. It was the site of a music festival where hundreds were left dead. He